Alright, so in this video, the only thing that we need to do is that we need to detect when the bird collides with the pipes or with the ground so that it will be game over and we will freeze the game if it's game over. So let's go ahead and do it. So we're gonna go to the bird script, and after the onTrigger method, we're gonna define the onCollision enter to D. So hit enter, and this is the onCollision enter to D. This will detect collisions. So this will detect whenever the bird collides with another collider. So if we trigger the column, we want to score, but if we collide with the pipe, so we're gonna check if collision.gameObject.compareTag, and we're gonna put here ground, for example. If we collide with the ground, or so this double sticks is or, and hit enter, or collision.gameObject.compareTag is equal to pipe. So if we collide with the pipe or with the ground, we want to end the game, so game over. And to end the game, we're going to say just time.timescale like this is equal to 0. This means that we want to freeze the game. We use timescale for slow motion effects. Here it says this can be used for slow motion effects. This means that if timescale is equal to 0.5, we will play the game in slow motion. If it's equal to 0, we will pause the game, and if it's equal to 1, we will run the game at normal speed. So if we collide with the ground or with the pipe, we want timescale to be equal to 0. Let's save and check if this works. So if we collide with the pipe or with the ground, we can see that we have paused, we have frozen the game. So let's see if we collide with the pipes, if the same thing happens. So if we collide with the pipes, nothing happens. This is because if you double click the prefab and you select the pipes, you can see that they don't have the tag of pipe. We have created the tag of pipe, but we have not assigned the pipe tag to the pipes. So let's select both pipes and tag them with the pipe like this, and now we play the game. You will see that if we collide with the pipes, we should freeze the game like this. Perfect. Okay, now something that we want to happen in the game is that whenever we collide with the pipes or with the ground and we freeze the game, we want to be able to have a replay button to replay the game as many times as we want. So to do this, we're going to create a replay button. So let's go and right click here in the canvas, select UI, and we'll select button. And you can see that if you click this arrow next to the button, you can see that the button has a child of a text. We don't need the text, so you can delete the text. And with the button, we're going to rename the button to replay BTN. BTN is a short way of saying button. And let's name it correctly, replay BTN. And now what we can do is that we can move the button a little bit down like this, and we're going to set the source image of the button. So click in this circle over here in the image component of the button, and we're going to select the button right here, the button sprite. And now we're gonna hit this button here where it says set native size. And now we can hit T on the keyboard, and we can hold shift and drag the button like this, so we can make that a little bit bigger. You can move it to center it on the canvas. And now what we want to do is that we want to define the behavior for this button. So the behavior for this button will be defined in the bird script. So let's go to the bird script, and after the onCollision enter, we will define a method that's going to be a public method of type void, and we will call it replay btn, or we're gonna call it better replay game like this. And for this method, we need to actually use a Unity namespace and another Unity namespace. So here at the top of the script, we're going to say using Unity engine scene management, because we want to use the scene manager. And why do we want to use the scene manager? Because when we execute the functionality of the button, we want to load the same scene that we were playing in the beginning. So here we're going to say scene manager dot load scene, and here we're gonna call scene manager again dot get active scene, open and close parentheses, dot build index. So this might look a little bit like an alien line of code, but here what we're saying is that I want the scene manager to load the active scene, and we have to look for the build index. So each scene has an index, so we want to load the scene, the active scene, and we want to, so we only have one scene. If you take a look in Unity, here we have the sample scene. This is the only scene that we have. So basically we're saying I want you to load the active scene that we're playing, which is the only one that we have. Okay, so now that we have that going, we need to select the replay button and go down here in inspector, and here you can see that it has an onClick property. So we are going to click this plus icon, and here it says that it's waiting for an object. So let's pass in the object that has the script with the functionality of the button, which is the bird. So let's drag the bird object here to the object, and let's select the no function, and let's look for the bird script, and in the bird script there, let's look for the replay game method. If you don't see the replay game method, maybe it's because you forgot to put the public keyword, because if you don't put this public keyword, you won't be able to play this, I mean to execute the code inside the method. Okay, you won't be able to see the method. So now that we have that going, what we need to do is that we don't want to have this replay button like this. We don't want to see it, because if you play the game like this, you will see the replay button, and you don't want to be able to see. So in the beginning of the game, we want to hide the replay button. So let's select this replay button, go up here in inspector, and here we have a checkbox. So let's uncheck it. So now we have not destroyed the game object, but we have set it to inactive. So we want to create a reference inside the bird script for the replay button. So we're gonna say public game object replay etn, and whenever we lose the game or it's game over, we want to set the replay button to true. We want to set it to active. So to do this, we're going to go here to where it's game over, and we're going to say replay button dot set active true, like this. So now if we go back to Unity editor and we play the game, we'll see that whenever we play the game, we should be able to see the button, but we don't see it. We get an error. And here in the console, it says unassigned reference exception. The variable replay button bird has not been assigned. This is because if we go to the bird script, to the bird script here, we can see that the replay button, there's a reference to replay button, but we haven't set this reference. So let's drag the replay button to the replay button field, and now it should be working. Press play, play the game. 1, 2, 3, we collide, and we have the replay button. And when we replay the game, we can see that we cannot play the game. What's happening? I cannot play the game again. So the reason for this is because when we set the time.timescale to 0, when we start the game again, we have to set the time.timescale to 1. So in the start method, here we're going to say time.timescale is equal to 1. So at the beginning of the game is going to run at normal speed, and when it's game over, we're going to pause or freeze the game. Okay, so now we play the game. I'm gonna die on purpose, and then I can replay the game as many times as we want. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you learned a lot during this tutorial. And if you want to know how to make a professional Flappy Bird, I have a course for that. The link will be in the description. And that's it for now, guys. I'll see you in the next video.